Alright guys, we're heading off for a weekend camping trip, making our way over to Hershey, Pennsylvania. Here we go! This is our first time taking the Scamp out in over a month, and it feels great to be back out on the road. This trip's been in the works for a long time. In fact, since even before we had a Scamp or even knew what a Scamp was. We're coming up here to attend a concert that was scheduled for 2020, but of course, COVID screwed that up, but it's finally been rescheduled. We hit the road at the end of a work week on a Friday. Heading up to Pennsylvania means we had to cross the DC and Baltimore metro areas, which, if you've ever done that drive during rush hour, you know it's quite the grind. But once you get on the other side of Baltimore, things are much better. Even though this is planned as a short trip, it's going to be a very special trip, and I'll explain why towards the end of the video. And look, we made it, Pennsylvania, here we are. The concert is at Hershey Stadium in Hershey Park, so we're staying at the Elizabethtown Hershey KOA, which in reality is much closer to Elizabethtown than Hershey. And here we are crossing the Susquehanna River. Dawn and I visit the Pennsylvania Dutch country quite often, about once a year at minimum. Usually when we get here and see this Turkey Hill experience is when I feel like we're getting close. But here we're going to jump off the 30 and start heading in a more northwest direction. The scenery in this area is always very nice, especially when you get off of the highway. And coming in the evening time with the light as the sun's going down is especially nice. We are getting in a little later than we'd expected, so we're basically just going to unhook and get set up and go right to bed, get started again the next morning. Alright, we got an early start, we're ready to get after it. We really only have one day on this trip, so we're going to see how much we can get in. First up, we're going to check out Hershey and see what that's all about. Now, I'd always assumed that this town existed and took its name from Milton Hershey, but I've since learned that this was set up as a model town for the workers in Hershey's factory. This is what would be considered like the main street in the town. In this case, it's called Chocolate Avenue. On the day we were there was a little market going on with some food trucks and vendors, so we gave that a look. There is a free parking garage that's available that's actually right next to the Hershey Story Museum. There are two main attractions here. There's the museum itself, and then there's a chocolate lab where you learn about chocolate and the chocolate making process, and you even get to make a sweet treat. Each are $15 a piece, but for both it's $25, which is very reasonable, I think. When you pay your admission, you get a wooden token that'll activate these video exhibits. The chocolate lab is a scheduled event, and luckily we showed up just as it was starting. It was pretty interesting, and I learned a lot about the chocolate making process that I didn't know. They asked some trivia questions, and if you got it right, you get some chocolate. Now it's time to make some sweet treats. Each chocolate lab session has a different theme. This one is called S'mores Galore. After you're done making it, they'll collect them, then put it in the fridge to chill. They'll teach you a little bit more about chocolate, and then after a short while, they come out and they're done and you're ready to go. This is a pretty fun thing to do. I was very impressed by the museum. Not only was it very informative and educational, but very well put together and very well done. The museum covered a variety of topics, but mostly focused on the life of Milton Hershey, his innovations in the chocolate making process, his company, and the history of the town Hershey. that name, the Hershey Bars. And lastly, there's a special exhibit on Mr. Hershey's Cuba.
Feels good.
I thought this museum was great, and it's definitely something I would recommend when visiting Hershey. There is a cafe inside that serves coffee and drinks and food. Now, we'd already eaten, so we weren't hungry, so we didn't taste any of these treats, although they do look delicious. I probably would have loved that snowball there. Now, we had no plans to do the amusement park, but we did do a drive-by. We thought to go visit Chocolate World and maybe give that a look, but by the time we showed up, the parking lot was full, and they had us parking like very far away, so it just wasn't worth it. And that's a good tip if you want to come, especially on a Saturday to do Chocolate World, get there early. Hershey is very nearby to Harrisburg, the state capital of Pennsylvania. I've always heard that the state capitol building was pretty cool, so we decided to go through and do a quick drive-by of the city and check out that capitol. And here's the Capitol building, and it is as nice as I'd heard. I put it in the upper tier of capitals I've actually seen. Now, we did see some rough parts of town, but there's some nice areas, particularly the downtown area, and this Riverside Drive is pretty nice. It was getting closer to concert time, so we started to make our way back towards the campground, deciding to stop and check out Elizabethtown, which is nearby, which is a small college town. Stumbled upon this place, which is free, and I like weird stuff, so we decided to go check it out. Now, I'll say Dawn wasn't a very big fan of this place, but like I said, I like weird stuff, so it was kind of right up my alley. In addition to the exhibits, they have a small number of items for sale. I picked up a Bigfoot air freshener here. Pretty cool. Alright, heading back to the campground to relax for a little while before the show. I do have to say, we weren't here very long, so we didn't really get to experience much of the campground, but what I did see I enjoyed. It's a KOA Holiday, so it has all the normal amenities you'd expect from that. There's a pool, there's mini golf, there's even a catch and release fishing pond. The store is well stocked with supplies, and then there's the cafe serving food on Friday and Saturday evenings. And then you got laundry, bathhouses, playgrounds, all the basics. Our site was nearby the check-in area. It was close to the bathroom when we were on the end, so we had some privacy. It was pretty good for us. Each RV site's going to have a fire pit and a picnic table. And being on the end, there's a lot of open space behind us, which felt nice. It felt pretty private. And right back there, where my finger is pointing, is nearby where the bathrooms are. Pretty close. We then went and enjoyed the concert. It's about a 20-minute drive to Hershey, so really not that bad. Hershey Park Stadium's an interesting venue, but we had a good time. And we wrapped up our night just relaxing with a campfire. And now it's time to begin the journey home. Now, I mentioned earlier that this was a special trip, and the reason it was is because this is one of the last trips that we're going to take with our Scamp, Fanny. The week leading up to the trip, we got contacted and learned that our Scamp was ready and will be going into production. Now, we're very excited. It's the waiting game at this point. I'll be putting together a video very soon where I'm excited to tell you about the various features and options that we decided to go with. Right now, I figure we're about 5 to 6 weeks from receiving our new Scamp, so we're actually getting ready to embark on what will be our final trip with Fanny, a trip to the Great Smoky Mountains and staying in Pigeon Forge. Please consider subscribing to follow along with us on that trip and to document our journey and the final steps of purchasing our new Scamp. And if at all you like this video, please go ahead and hit me with that thumbs up. Thank you all for watching, and please stick around because there's plenty more coming because Scamps like us are born to camp. Alright guys, later.